Nothing brings me more joy than helping people better understand the tool they have to live their life on purpose. We have this magnificent brain, and it has different predictable parts, and the better we get to know those different parts, then we have more power over who and how we want to be in any moment. The brain does not have to be such a mystery. We can actually understand it, differentiate ourselves, and then behave in ways that bring us less anxiety and more peace. It thrills me. I love brains. I am Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor. I'm a neuroanatomist and the author of My Stroke of Insight and Whole Brain Living. I'm a neuroanatomist. I study the anatomy of the brain. So I can visualize in my brain the circuits of how all the information comes in order for me to be able to have a perception of reality. When we look at the human brain, it has emotional tissue in the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, and it has thinking tissue in both the right hemisphere and in the left hemisphere. So we end up with these 4 very specific groups of cells, modules of cells, that result in very specific skill sets, resulting in very specific personalities that we all exhibit. So we have left thinking, that is structured and organized, and it's what we call our rational thinking brain. It categorizes and organizes. It has language, the ability to create sound, and then another group of cells places meaning on top of that. I know when I'm being analytical and I'm being structured and organized and I'm planning things for the future, or I'm counting 1 + 1 = 2, I know that that's my left thinking portion of my brain. The left emotional part of our brain has miraculously stepped out of the present moment consciousness and given us the ability to remember things from our past or to project ideas into the future. Now, with that, I can create an individuation as well as the linearity across time. And now, because I have linearity across time, I can learn from my past experiences. The right emotional part of my brain is then, how does it feel to be in my body in the present moment? What does it feel like when I dive into the water and I feel the pressure push against my body? What does it feel like to feel water as wet? I'm not on the clock. I'm lost in the flow. I've got this excitement and I have a level of curiosity. And then my right thinking tissue is simply the consciousness of me, big as the universe, connected to all that is, and this immense sense of gratitude that I exist at all. Oh my gosh, I'm alive. We are living creatures made up of these magnificent cells, and there's an awe and a wonder and this deep sense of gratitude. Once you start realizing the 4 different characters inside of yourself and being able to recognize those in others, you can't not see it anymore. And once you understand it, it's like, I have so much more power over what's going on inside of my brain than anybody ever taught me. Wow. And it's beautiful. So I grew up to study the brain because I have a brother who's diagnosed with the brain disorder schizophrenia. So my focus was on, how does our brain create our perception of reality? Because my brother's perception of reality was so different from mine. And so I was teaching and performing research at Harvard Medical School. And at the age of 37, I woke up one morning and I had a major hemorrhage happening in the left hemisphere of my brain. My brain says, oh my gosh, I'm having a stroke, I'm having a stroke. And then another part of my brain is saying, wow, this is so cool, I'm having a stroke. How many brain scientists have the opportunity to study their own brain from the inside out like this? And then when I awoke later that afternoon, the left hemisphere was completely shut down. I no longer had me, the individual. I didn't know where I began and where I ended. Jill Bolte Taylor died that day, and I was literally laying in this bed and felt like a ton of lead in the present moment. And when you're in the right here, right now, and you have this expansive openness, big as the universe experience, then you see how everything is interrelated and energy energetically impacted. So I still had those portions of my brain functioning, but me, the individual, I was gone. And we really had no idea, even following surgery, what I would get back, or if I would have any ability to have any recognition or recollection of the identity that I had had for 37 years. So what the stroke gave me was this new introduction to the depth of these emotions. However, my sadness, my grief is a whole body, whole envelopment, and it takes you to your knees and it takes you to the floor and you just flood with this incredible emotion. And wow, I feel this because I loved. This is the beauty of being alive, but it's not designed to be a lifestyle. It's designed to be information that I can then learn from and hold on to and find meaning in my world. The emotions, the power of the emotions are so beautiful, so rich, so everything, that without them, we would be 1 + 1 = 2, and who really cares? It took 8 years for me to completely recover all function. I knew that I had completely recovered when that organizational part of me came back online and said, now I want to be the boss again. And the rest of my brain went, we are so glad you're back because we need your skill sets to be a functional human being in our society. But no, we are not going to live based on the values of the left hemisphere. We are now going to live as a collective democracy inside of our own head. I have to have that left hemisphere in order to be a functional human being. But even though my ego center is in my left hemisphere is not who I am. I am a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere. If we are hooked into the emotional part of our left hemisphere that says, I don't like that, it's not familiar, I don't feel safe, that clamps me down and I become constricted. And I can fuel that by sharing those biases with those whom I am familiar with. Then we all become more constricted. We all become more rigid. We all become more we versus they. Yet we have the capacity to say, I am a part of a magnificent collective whole in relationship to a magnificent world. And as we engage with the world in a healthier way, the world becomes healthier. We have the capacity to understand and have a healthy relationship with all the different parts of who we are. And when we look at the anatomy of the brain, when we get that streamlined activity between the 2 thinking parts of our brain, the 2 emotional parts of our brain, and we're having a whole brain life, wow, things change. I think the first thing we need to do is be willing and open to explore what's going on inside of our own head. Get to know who you are. Get to know your 4 characters. Get to know how they engage in your life, who they have relationships with, how they feel inside of your body. How much time do you want to spend in each of these 4 different parts? Once you know that, then you can create a negotiation. And to me, that's personal freedom, to be able to know I have the power to choose moment by moment who and how I want to be, regardless of my external circumstance. And it's a wonderful, wonderful way of being.